got an opinion on that, Jeff?
I do have an opinion on this.
Okay.
If you're going to make an analogy between religion and an organism, then it's not just, you don't only deal with hostile microbes by attacking them directly. You also deal with them by changing the environment in which they find themselves so it's no longer conducive to them.
Very well said.
And that is what I think is the purpose of logical argument. We're not necessarily trying to kill off that particular religion microbe directly by poking at it with the
right. We're not trying to eradicate it from every individual person.
We're trying to make the environment in which it finds itself full of rational discourse, which is anathema to the survival of religion.
Yeah, that is very similar to what I was going to say. In fact, what I would say in response to the questions he was asking of the room, because I am one of the people who would have kept their hand up when saying, have you won that argument? I've not often, but it's happened every once in a while. And we know that there are lots and lots of atheists who are here having converted from religion. And I think the appropriate follow-up question would be, of the people who have successfully been cured of the virus, how many of them got there through a means other than logical arguments? I think most ex-theists I know believe, at least, that they are at the atheist position because they approached it from a perspective of rational inquiry.
Plus, I would have to have asked that guy, not that I saw the show, but in that scene with the auditorium and the hands going up, I would have to have asked, what are the criteria for winning? Does winning mean the guy you're talking to, does a face palm and goes, "Oh my gosh, you're right, how could I have been so foolish?"
That doesn't happen.
That's not winning. Winning is being right.
Yeah. What happens is more like...
Not just believing that you're right, which is what most believers think is winning. As long as they can continue to believe they are right, they won. That is not the case.
Right. What happens is you put ideas in the other person's head which are like an antibody or a vaccine, basically, which might take years and years to grow and might never come to fruition. But my fiancée, Linnea, actually says that she was in contact with atheists when she was younger and still a theist. And she is mad at them at this point for not having gone out of their way to discuss the issue with her, because she thinks that she would have abandoned religion sooner if people had been willing to have those discussions. And like you said, it's changing the environment, because I have no illusion that I'm going to change the minds of most people I talk to. But what is going to happen is, well, when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure I was the only atheist in my entire school. I'm not really sure, but...
You think you were,
but
because
nobody else was willing to cop to it.
Right.
Ben, my son, who's 7 years old, keeps coming home and telling me that he's met another atheist at school. Somebody who was comfortable saying, like the subject just came up. I don't think he's like picking fights or anything, but the subject of God came up, and the other kid said, "Well, I don't believe in God." That's a change from 20, 25 years ago, whatever.
I have another question. If this fella thinks we should not be using reason and logic to argue with believers, what does he think we should be using?
I don't know the answer, and he's not here.
Because, what else is there? There's emotional appeals, which have their place. I think that emotional appeals have their place, particularly when you got one that's in your favor. But they're not clinchers, right? They're just ways to ease the journey. But mostly, religion is designed to take advantage of those emotional appeals, and scientific viewpoints only get to take advantage of emotional appeals when, by random chance, there happens to be something emotionally appealing about a scientific insight.
Right.
It's not built from them. Religion is built from them.
Science is actually handicapped a bit by the compunction to say things that are true.
Yeah. Why would we want to fight in an arena that is the home turf of the religionists? That just doesn't seem wise.
Okay, so now we've filled enough time to get full lines.
Awesome.
Pick one up. We have Matt in Memphis, Tennessee. Hello?
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Okay, I have a follow-up question regarding the God virus topic from last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a comment that seems that's directly on point with what you were just saying about converting people. I guess I'll start with my question, and that is, I was wondering if you could expand on, there's a lot of discussion about how religious views take on a life of their own and do whatever they can to propagate their ideas from one generation to the next. Do you guys have any thoughts on how religious myths leap from just a wacky idea in one person's head or in a small group of people to become an actual virus? What kind of things have to happen for there to be that transition in the first place? You guys thought about that at all?
Well, bear in mind that the whole virus concept at best is a metaphor. It's a pretty good metaphor, and the idea is that basically every successful idea, like every successful gene, got to be the way it is by being really good at reproducing itself. Like, for instance, I think in his original essay where he introduced the idea of memes, along with Susan Blackmore, I think it was, Richard Dawkins, or maybe it was Dennett who brought this up, but it was like Happy Birthday. The song Happy Birthday is an incredibly successful meme. It has almost no musical merit whatsoever. It's really catchy, but nobody would mistake it for a an incredibly enduring tune. But it's got this combination of traits. I mean, it's catchy, it's simple to learn, it kind of gets stuck in your head, and it's got this specific event that comes around many, many times for a lot of people that makes Happy Birthday really easy to sort of jump from one line to the next. So I think when we talk about religion as a successful meme, we say, well, it's not necessarily propagating because it's true, which is one way that ideas can jump around, but it's propagating because it's got a lot of built-in ideas, like it offers seemingly satisfying answers to very complicated, difficult questions.
If I might?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Matt's question is about, are you asking more about how it gets started?
Yeah, I was asking really just how it gets off the ground.
Okay, sure.
I understand the truth isn't really what gets it off the ground.
Because what Russell was just saying is, I think that is a good description of how religion survives and continues to survive once it's formed. You're asking about how it gets started in the first place.
Sure.
Have you ever, had a suspicion about something and then found out that your suspicion was incorrect and then come up with an ad hoc alternate explanation, because you just felt inclined to keep believing your premise? I'm getting really generic here, right? Can you think of any time like that? Like let me make a more concrete example. There's a bad sound coming out of my car engine, and I think it might be the alternator, and then I go and look, and it's not the alternator, so then I think, well, maybe it's because I stopped the car and got out and looked, it's settled down now, and it's not, so I'm not getting the evidence that it is what I thought it was.